Hi guys, my name is Karina. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's topic is going to be paying your suppliers for your FBA shipments and products and private labeled items. And I wanted to go over with you guys the main ways that people usually pay suppliers, which ways you should pay your suppliers, and which ways you should avoid paying your suppliers, and when there are exceptions. Because I've talked to so many suppliers by now, and a lot of them ask for slightly different things. And sometimes the area could be a little bit gray. You don't really know them that well, so you don't know if you should trust them with some of the things and paying a little bit more upfront than you usually would. So I kind of wanted to share my personal experiences and how I made payments and things like that, and what you guys should watch out for. So let me open this Word document that I strategically typed out. So the very first way to pay your suppliers is through PayPal, which I can't spell. So PayPal, if you guys know, it's super easy to pay through it, and I really recommend this method, especially when you're first starting out. And that's because it is super protected. It's a US company, so you know that you pretty much have the upper hand when it comes to any type of refunds or fraudulent activity. And if anything goes wrong, they're pretty much on the customer side. Like in the US type of system, it's always favoring to the consumer as opposed to the business. So you are the person that's paying, and plus it's going out in a different country. So you pretty much have that protection. And actually with PayPal there is a fee, and that is, I don't know if you guys know about that, but it is about, oops, that's a plus sign, it's about 4.5%. This is typically what it is, because there's a fee for the total purchase of the total price that you're paying for the item that you're ordering, as well as a fee that goes to China. And there's, each country has its own type of percentage that they take from the payment. And I always pay this, especially when I'm dealing with a new supplier. And I've actually had a supplier do 5% as well. I mean, a lot of people say that really try to watch out for scammers. They give you an overall PayPal fee. Some might try to do it higher, but if it's in between 4.5% to 5%, I don't really think they're scamming me or anything. If it goes above 5%, then that's when you can kind of see things are a little bit fishy, and that maybe they're trying to rip you off if they say that the PayPal fee is like 10% or something like that. So this is actually a very small price to pay in comparison to what you're getting, because if your supplier doesn't finish the order, or they do really low quality job, or they don't ship it out on time, or they don't ship it out at all, this 4.5 to 5% of extra that you're paying will pretty much guarantee that you have your money sent back to you. Now, PayPal also has clauses written in their terms of service, and you really have to be careful with that, because like I said, there are gray areas. So my suggestion is when you're paying through PayPal, don't just pay through your PayPal balance, but actually what you can do is use, okay, hold on. You should use is your credit card that is attached to your PayPal. Because think about this, if your supplier were to somehow forego this PayPal defense fee that you paid, and say that you didn't agree on something, and if a rare case happens that PayPal does favor them and doesn't return your money back, you have the second layer of protection from your credit card company. And now you can actually go to your bank, which 99% of the time I'm pretty sure they value their customer, their members, more than anything else. So they will pretty much take your side and you will get your money back. But when you do this, you have a protection method, an extra barrier. It's like 2 layers of protection, and I think this is perfect. Now, when you work with a supplier already and you have already paid them several times and their order is great and they're great at communicating, everything's on time, then you can just pay them through PayPal. You don't need to necessarily have your credit card linked onto it. But another thing, guys, I still have my credit card linked because I get extra points, and why not? You get just extra points that you can use for cash rewards or travel points, and I just prefer using credit cards for everything, because then you just get that extra benefit, especially for ads, guys. There's some credit cards they give you 3 times back on ads, but that's a different topic. But that's a really good thing to leverage as well. Just maybe that's for another video, to leverage credit cards. But anyways, so the second way to pay And let me see if I can get this even, because some people might not like that the 1 and 2 is not aligned. But the second really, really common way to pay is through trade assurance. Now this goes directly through the Alibaba payment system. So let me actually open Alibaba so I could show you guys how that looks like. So the thing with this is not everyone has trade assurance. So everyone has the PayPal option because, I mean, it's unless they choose not to. There are suppliers that actually say we don't take PayPal, we only take trade assurance. For example, let's say that we're looking for glasses and that's something we're trying to private label. What I always do is I go to here, supplier types, and I always click trade assurance before I even source or anything. And I also click verified supplier. Now, trade assurance basically lets me know that they do offer that type of payment method, trade assurance, which is basically they're using Alibaba as a middleman between them and you. So this right here, it also has a fee. It's very, very similar to the PayPal fee. It's not much higher or much lower. It's pretty much the same. I'm not exactly sure what the exact percentage, but it's very low. It can't be more than 5%. So it's basically this or the other one. So in this way, Alibaba kind of has the money in the middle, and it kind of oversees it to make sure that the order gets to you correctly. And if there's any issues, you open a case, and again, you are verified through here. And plus, this also goes through your credit card. So same with this PayPal situation, the trade assurance, your credit card is also linked to this. So if there's any issues, you can always go back to your credit card. With this, actually, guys, sometimes I've noticed your credit card doesn't go through, and then you just have to call your bank and then ask them to verify the purchase, because I've had that happen several times where they think it's a really unusual purchase that I'm doing and they just block it off. So in that case, if a little notification comes up, you guys, all you have to do is just call the number on the back of your credit card and they will approve it. So I've actually talked to so many suppliers, and most of them do have the PayPal version available. However, some of them say we don't have PayPal, but we have trade assurance. And in that case, I have no problem with taking trade assurance. I've never been skeptical or scared of paying with trade assurance as opposed to PayPal. I'm not sure why they do it. Maybe they have a lower fee with trade assurance, but in both ways, we as the purchaser, since we're sending the money, we have to cover the PayPal fee and the trade assurance fee. They don't have to cover it, we do. So I'm not sure if from their side they get extra fees or anything. I just know that we get to cover these fees. But both of these methods are okay with me. And usually the payment breakdown for both of these is 30%, 70%. And this is for both of them. So that means that when you first place an order, for them to begin to start manufacturing and doing everything, you have to pay at least 30% of the payment. So if your total comes out to $1,000, you have to pay $300 before they can start anything, because that kind of is a down payment that you are serious and that they're not just going to produce all these units for you and then you're just not going to pay them and disappear, because that is actually possible, right? And that protects you as well, because if you pay the full 100 amount and they do start production and then it turns out that half of your items are completely not up to par on the quality or the time, or they're just taking too long, or they're out of stock, any of the above, then you don't have to pay the 70%. You can actually just leave it as it is. You can actually even send over like a, what do they call it, an inventory checker, or it's not, that's not what it's called, an inspector, so they can check that the units are up to par, that everything is as you requested. And if it's not, you can actually say, I don't want to pay the 70%, you guys didn't follow on your end of the deal, so I'm not obligated to pay the 70%. But either way, I always, for the most part, every supplier I've talked to have asked me to pay 30%. There was one case where somebody asked me to pay 100% of the order before anything, before they even started production. And I negotiated with them and I tried really hard, because they were actually the only supplier, and I've talked to so many, but for that particular item, they were the best one with the best rates, and they were around for a long time and had good reviews. So actually, and since it was an item that I was testing and I was getting a really small test order, I actually didn't think it would be much of a loss, that if I did pay the full amount and then they would not hold up their end of the deal, that it would be a huge loss. I decided to take the risk, and it turned out okay. They actually were a great supplier. They shipped it out on time, great packaging, great quality. So there was no problems there. But as with this, use it at your own discretion. If they ask for the 100% payment, I would usually go for 30. I mean, there's no need for you to pay 100% unless like you really are confident with them and you have a good relationship with them, and it's a smaller amount because you don't want to lose your money. And again, like with even credit cards or trade assurance, it's still a hassle to try to get it back. So you just want to minimize your risk as much as possible. That's why I always recommend paying the 30%. That way, both sides feel like they're equal and things like that. And like I said, right here, this already is indicative that they are for trade assurance. So any supplier you look up here that is verified and has trade assurance. So when you talk to them and negotiate, they will give you that option. And then the third way, actually, guys, is a little bit different, and that is called TT/wire transfer. Now, this I have actually never done because I have always been okay with just paying through PayPal or trade assurance. But wire transfers, I've actually had some suppliers that tell me that the only thing they accept is wire transfers. And if you're just beginning, if it's your first time and your first time dealing with a supplier, I do not recommend this, because that once you send this out, poof, it's gone. Like, you will not see your money again. No one will be able to vouch for you. Your bank won't be able to get it back. It is just basically sending thousands of dollars into oblivion and hoping and praying that your supplier didn't rip you off. So this is not a good option when you're starting out and when you don't know the supplier. So I would go with either one or two. This actually, I'm not completely against it. This could be beneficial later down the road when you're really scaling your business, when you have trust with the supplier. You can actually use wire transfers to save yourself from paying these fees. And that's, if you need to really send in bulk orders and really spend like a lot of money for inventory, then this could be a good option. But right now, like, PayPal and trade assurance is completely fine. You guys don't need to take that extra risk on yourself. So if a supplier says we only accept TT, I honestly, like, I wouldn't work with them. When I first started out, I didn't do it. I still don't do it. It's just I don't have enough trust, especially if it's right now. Honestly, the suppliers I've been working with for a long time now, if they ask me to do this, I would do it now, because I have literally reordered them from them like 15 times, and I know that they deliver perfectly on time. I've never had any issues. So then I would trust them enough to do that. And then they would be losing and they know that I'm like a consistent buyer, so they would be losing my business if they try to screw me over. So, but prior to that, I would have never used that ever. And I still don't, especially if it's a first time supplier that I'm dealing with. So those are basically your only options of payments. These are the ones that I come up all the time when I'm talking and negotiating with suppliers. But like I said, just stick to one and two. Pay the 30%, or sometimes I've been asked to pay 50%, which is okay as well, because still, like, they don't really want to take that risk either of you not paying anything or you paying a small amount. So yeah, just use this to your discretion and how well you know the supplier and things like that. But I hope that this was helpful to you guys, and if it was, please subscribe and hit a like down below, just because, it's fun. And yeah, I post videos quite frequently on here, so if you guys want to see more tips and things I know about FBA and other things that I'm learning, then please keep watching my other videos. And if you guys want to talk to me, you can always message me on my Instagram. That's my favorite form of communication. Or if you have any other questions, just drop a comment down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have an amazing evening or day wherever you are.